Hello, Winners of the West. Thank you so much. We are about to give you our thoughts on Viticulture, the Essential Edition, how it compares to the original, what the upgrades have been made, and whether or not this game might be right for you. At the end of it all, we will throw it on our Nerds of the West ranking list. This is our list not based on if one game is necessarily better than another, but just if given the opportunity, what we would prefer to play. The people who are at the table, my name is Tom, we have a Kai.
Hello.
We have a Reese.
I've swirled.
And we have a Chris.
How's it going?
We have also just played Viticulture, and you can catch that video up on YouTube, and while doing so, we drank a little bit too much wine. So let's see what our thoughts are. Kai, can you give us a little bit of an overview of what Viticulture is and what it entails?
Sure, here's the super simplified version. We have each inherited a vineyard from our deceased relatives. Who knows? And we are I'm trying to inject some story. We're trying to make it the best vineyard we can. Basically, we have been playing a worker placement game where we place our workers out during the summer to prepare our vineyard, planting grapes, drawing more grapes to plant, getting summer workers in to do odd jobs around the place and collecting money, so that during winter we can harvest our grapes, crush them into wine, and then sell them on wine orders, producing more money, more victory points, and allowing us to build up our farm further and further. We've had our own little vineyards in front of us here that we've been buying buildings to improve, and at the end of the day, whoever got to 20 victory points the quickest won. With the best vineyard.
With the main caveat being that there is no break between summer and winter.
Yes.
If you use up all your workers in summer, you have no workers left to use for winter. So you need to plan out in advance where you are going to go and figure out how many workers you need to keep in place. But also turn order is chosen by a worker placement mechanic. So that can be very important. You get bigger benefits the later you go, but obviously the worker spots are used up if you get there too late.
Yes.
But there is a big chunky worker, big boy, who can go in the spot where someone else already is. So there's a lot of things in place to make this game accessible and easy to learn as a worker placement, which is where I think this game shines. Which means it doesn't shine for me with where I'm at Boardgames.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about shining,
I just want to say, before we get in, because we all, through the gameplay, which, go back, watch the gameplay video, we were like, is this in Italy? Is this in Tuscany? Where does the lyra come from?
Yeah.
The first words on the book.
Yeah, it says...
Old World Tuscany awaits.
Hey, you were right.
follow-up question. Where's Tuscany?
In Italy.
So I normally like to start with the art, but because this game is Stonemaier, and I think just about everyone can agree that they usually do a pretty good job of the art. No, Reese, you got
Well,
thoughts?
I mean, technically this is a reprint and the art is the same from what I saw. Like, there's been no update to the art.
No,
So,
the Essential Edition is just a few expansions, the best parts of expansions added in.
The original art, I think, is really good.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, it's a bit dated.
Yeah, okay.
Not so much in the art, but in the layout of the art, if that makes sense.
I still like it. I like that they've laid out a farm, a vineyard on the board. They've got all the different areas and then the spots next to it. I like how that looks.
It's pretty, but not functional.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the art's nice. I kind of get the dated thing in that it feels kind of like an older heavy Euro, but it is, what, 2015? It is like...
13 for the art, the original.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so it is
2013.
like 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the art on the cards gets a little bit... It's very much going for that painted style, but it doesn't quite hit it all the time.
I think it's fine.
I think it's fine. No, I have no problems with it.
I've been to plenty of Italian restaurants that have these murals painted on them.
It kind of nails that, right?
If that's the vibe, you've absolutely hit it. Yeah, so this game has a lot of things in place to ease people into worker placement. From your very first choice of how soon do you want to go, to having multiple options of where you can go, and even then saving your big boy worker to go in the place of someone else if that space is already taken, being forgiving in that regard, which I think is great. I think it does a really good job of being an intro worker placement. I think everyone, the brief talk we've had, the amount of luck that is in this game for where I enjoy a worker placement these days doesn't hit the mark.
Yeah, I mean, I like the El Grande worker in general, because my biggest problem with some other worker placement games is how quickly you can fall behind if you just miss out if everyone's going for the same thing and you just miss out, see my thoughts on Istanbul. And having at least like, you don't need to be able to go everywhere all the time, but just having one worker that can always go anywhere can save a turn that would otherwise, the entire round could be totally lost without that. So I appreciate that option. And even in more advanced, more heavy worker placement games, I think that would be a feature that would be an improvement to a lot of other games. Just because that way your entire turn isn't down the gurgler because, well, the two people in front of me took the only two options I have to make any progress in my engine. Therefore, I am totally stymied for another round and therefore falling further behind.
That's a good assessment.
I don't think that you need to be able to do that all the time. It doesn't have to be too forgiving, but it's just one little wild card that can save the day. So I think that aspect of it being an intro or a more forgiving worker placement is a good thing across the board. Totally like that. The changing the player order was interesting. I haven't seen a game do it that way before. I've seen one where it lets you take first player, but it's always been you take first player and then play continues clockwise. Being able to take first player, but then someone else takes second and is interesting.
Yeah.
It took a bit for our brains to go, hang on, it's not my turn. But I do like
We also did accidentally end up in clockwise a few many times to make it difficult for us.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Reese? You look like you have big, heavy thoughts on this game.
Yeah, like I really enjoy worker placements, and I'm so split down the middle with this game. This is like, for me, this is a very 5 out of 10 game. If I had played this when I was first getting into board games 10 years ago, right, and that's the thing, if this was my introduction to board games, this would have a special place in my heart. It would be on my shelf. It would be the game that I'm like, it would be my Ticket to Ride, right?
Yeah.
Like, Ticket to Ride's always the game that I pull out and I'm like, this is the greatest game ever made. I think if I played this 10 years ago, this would have been that. This would have been my Ticket to Ride. Playing it now, playing the worker placement games that we've already talked about, which in the previous video, playing Reykholt, which is also made by Uwe Rosenberg. Playing Igiza, playing the games that have had time to learn from this game, it's hard to come back and go, this is something that I really love, this is something that I really enjoy. I think it's a great place to start. I don't think it's a great place to go back to. Like Rockingham, right?
That
is a 10%er.
Viticulture, it's like Rockingham.
But like it's
At various points in the game, everyone felt shoehorned into only doing one thing, and then if they didn't get the extra part that they needed for that one thing, nothing moved forward.
I feel like we all had a similar problem where our wine order cards were vastly different from the actual vine cards that we were drawing, right? And it wasn't even we're gunning for these, so we're going to build these. It's, well, I'm drawing these wine order cards, but I can't keep up because I'm drawing the wrong vineyard
I kept drawing wine orders for high-end white wines, and I had a 1, and a 2 quality white wine vine. And
it would literally take you 5 years to get to the point of filling that wine.
And it never got to the point where, I agree with Kai where it was like, if someone locked me out of something, I never really, I had other options. It was the game itself locking me out from those other options.
Yeah, I do think the luck aspect is a little punish. As much like the worker placement is very forgiving, the luck aspect is pretty punishing.
Yeah.
Because, and thinking about it thematically as well, if I have a farm that's growing really good red wine, producing really good red wine, why can I only sell white? Yeah. Why? I have a barrel of beautiful red wine here. Why can I only sell white wine? There needs to be, even if it's not these order cards were extra valuable because they're special orders, but you've always got the option of selling.
Yeah, like basic one.
Yeah. But you can always sell a really good, nice red. You can only sell the grapes and only for money. You can't get rid of your wine unless you've got a wine order, which is really punishing if you're not drawing the right ones. And even on a good turn, you're drawing maybe 2. You know, maybe if someone else beats you to that, you're probably only drawing 1. You know, most of the table is only drawing 1 of those a turn. Most of the table is only drawing 1 vine a turn, on average. And if those don't match up, there goes your year. Like, I guess produce some wines, but you may or may not ever be able to sell them.
I got lucky that I could produce some wines early, but then later on couldn't produce anything more. But the only cards that I had were high-end wine.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter that I produced it early because it was going to get there eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm just double checking something because I made a statement before and I'm just double checking that's correct.
Where Rosenberg? Yeah, I can't remember if Chris, have you got thoughts on this? Where do you sit with worker placements?
I do enjoy worker placement game like this. I know it's not the same, but it reminds me of like Scythe and like a bunch of other games where you're really thinking tactfully about what you've got in front of you. You've got like options, but like Kai had mentioned, right? There's really only a few sensible options to play at any one time. So like, yes, there are 6, 7 places you can go on the board, but often the best of those options are not available because someone else took them first, or you're really going for wine, so why would you bother with this other option, like, per se. So let's say at any one time on your turn there's 2 sensible options, and likely one of them is subpar and the other one won't help you this year but perhaps a different year. So it does feel like it goes slowly, and indeed this was a long stream. Well, granted, we were chatting and drinking wine, but like it did feel like a long game.
I can't see playing this at 6 players.
Like 6 players would certainly, because of course it would
You'd
open
have
up
more
the
options,
extra spots on each of the possible placements. But overall, I did enjoy it. I did think it was fun. And unfortunately for Kai, I think you maybe got screwed over with the luck, right? Whereas like Tom, and I think I got pretty lucky as well. I always had cards in my hand that I thought were valuable enough that like, this is my backup plan. Like, I can always do this and I can count on it coming up in the year. So, and there was a few times where I got to pick the best spot on the board because no one else was going for it.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I had an oddball hand, but it worked.
Yeah.
So,
I think Reese hit the nail on the head when he said this is a 5 out of 10 game. The problem is it plays at the length of other games that are better.
Yeah.
If this was a half-hour worker placement game with these kind of styles, it'd be fine.
Yeah, and I just want to like point out, right? Some people might like the luck factor, like especially with introduction or introductory people.
Yeah.
Once again, like, it's just, to me, when I play a worker placement, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to be the most efficient boss I can be, right? I want to be a manager. I want to be able to like make profits, and at the expense of my workers. Like,
a true capitalist.
Yeah, exactly, right? I want to live the American dream. But like, the luck thing is what really hurts it for me. Other than that, the work placement part, really enjoyed. Yeah, but I just wanted to say, like, the luck thing is more of a me thing, not a game.
Yeah, and I think I don't have a problem with luck in worker placement games. Like some other worker placement games, like June, for example, we like, and there's card drawing. In that, there's other worker placement games with card draw. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that to get victory points in this game is based on the card draw.
When
it's
the
not
luck
just
locks you out of the game.
it's
when
not
the luck
just to
goes,
make
no,
things
you
more
don't have
efficient.
choice.
It's not just extra victory points. The primary way of getting victory points is based on the luck of the draw from A, your wine orders, and B, your vines, grape cards that you draw. And so your entire win or loss is heavily tilted towards luck. So for me,
but
it's
there's
closer.
also a lot of ways to get victory points from the other cards, the summer and winter cards. But if you don't get those...
Yeah, once again, you need to draw those. Like, this is...
Like, I scored 12 victory points from wine orders.
Yeah.
Of the 25 that I scored overall.
But again, those are pretty specific. Like, to get those victory points, you have to have a wine of X value or whatever, which is fine. But again, the stars kind of have to align for those to be profitable.
Yeah.
And so for a while there, I felt like I keep drawing grapes and I keep drawing orders and they're just not matching up. Like, do I just ditch wine in this winemaking game and just start drawing random workers and just hope for
points?
some zany effects?
Apparently, it is a way to play the game.
Just give me points. Like,
apparently.
I thought this was a game about making a vineyard.
That's like
and now I'm like, give me the uncertified teacher so that I can.
That's like the research game in Catan, right? Like you just
you just buy like development cards.
Yeah.
I will say, coming from having played the original game a few years ago, the start felt a lot nicer because of the Mama and Papa cards, giving everyone a little bit extra and a little bit more options. Just a choice at the start of building on money to get things going was huge.
Yeah, it feels like the stuff that it did add in is to help mitigate that 2015 era. When
13, but
no, 2013.
When it was just straightforward.
2010s era.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's now 2023. We're time travelers. And so it's like, I can see why the mum and dad cards have been added in, why you can actually sell your fields at the start, because I didn't sell any of my fields, but there were times where I could understand why you guys were doing it, because I'm like, the money just stops.
Yeah.
Like the money just doesn't generate, and the only...
Which thematically is interesting. You dump all this money in and then hope that you sell the wine for money later on.
Yeah.
But it's a bit weird at times.
Yeah, and it's like, that's cool, but then I also think that's putting a Band-Aid on the game.
Yeah.
You know, that's not... And to be honest, I don't think this is the game for people that never played Viticulture. I think this is a game for people that played Viticulture a while ago, and now they're like, I want to get like an updated version of it. I want to get a nice looking version.
I mean, on that note, I think it needs like a 3rd edition, right? Like, I think the bare bones are there. I like the theme. I like the aging of the wine, so producing something poor can become something good. I just think there needs to be a refinement to meet like 2023 standards where, and I mean, maybe it's not trying to be as heavy as we want it to be, and that's fine. I just think that it needs to be, if it's going to be a worker placement, that needs to be the bit that is the win or loss, not the card draw is the win or lose.
I do want to say, speaking of 2023 standards, you had some words about the quality of the game before we even started today.
Yeah, and I guess
that
was the right place to touch on that.
Yeah. Sorry, go back to it and then we'll pull the board up.
It's older, and it's funny, when I look at it, the Mama and Papa cards, the full-size cards, do have kind of a matte finish. They're fine, I would say. These small cards feel cheap. And I can't think of a nicer way to put that.
Yeah.
They're a gloss. When I opened the packet, they were all stuck together. It feels like a $2 pack of playing cards I bought from Kmart. It doesn't feel good. And at the standard that a game like this with custom meeples, like wine bottle meeples, worker meeples, all these custom meeples, satin finished cards, like canvas finished cards, I don't think it's unfair to expect that. I get that they're not standard size, et cetera, et cetera. I kept living in fear of cards being stuck together when I drew them. They don't feel good. Yeah. There's no nice way to say that. I'm sorry.
With that all in place, where do we rank it on our board? This, as I said, is our Nerds of the West ranking board, not based on if one game is objectively better, just where we would prefer to play it. At the top, still reigning supreme, Ark Nova, Dune Imperium, Rise of Ix, and King Domino. Viticulture, for me, it's down below Nemesis Lockdown. I would still play it over Reload, but everything else here, I would play above.
Before Reload.
Viticulture. It's better than Rockingham and Reload.
No, it's like Rockingham.
It's like Rockingham, better than Reload. Oh, God.
Oh, fuck, this is hard. This is a hard one.
Why is Lost Ruins so low?
Just give it a
I
spot.
would put this... I'm going to put it above Zombie Kittens, but below Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Chris or Reese?
I would put it above Lost Ruins.
Okay.
The one that I was stuck on was Nemesis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the thing that kills me with Nemesis is the setup, pack down.
100% fair.
And I'm like, realistically, you need a day for that. And then, Zombie Kittens is Zombie Kittens.
Yep.
I'm not a huge Lost Ruins fan, so and then we start getting into games that I like. So yeah, I think
I reckon. Oh God, it's like probably on level with Libertalia, Winds of Gale Crest.
Okay.
For me.
So it sits around this lovely middle area here for us. Well, middle of the area we were talking about.
hello, Millie.
Dog under the table.
I mean, and we've said it before, none of these, I don't think we've got any bad games on the list. I made
The
fun
curse of playing games is on content means we play games we want to play.
Yeah, it's not a bad game.
No.
Yeah.
I just think that
I just wouldn't play it very often.
I would play other work.
I didn't realise that Viticulture would be around the $89 mark.
Yeah.
For that, I'm like...
The custom meeples are really nice, but the cards, could be a bit nicer.
Either make some bits less nice and then bring the price down just so it's an affordable beginner game.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to make a nice copy, make a nice copy.
Yeah, well, this isn't supposed to be an upgraded copy. It is just all the best bits and expansions thrown in together.
Yeah.
But those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Otherwise, you can join us every single week on twitch.tv/Nerds of the West and let us know your thoughts like our lovely chat does when we are live. We are Nerds of the West. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.